We now have a short URL service repository in the ECR. You can see the tag there is latest. And one thing that you do need to do, and I think it's because the tag needs to be created first, otherwise it just doesn't work in Travis, is to create a local version of it and then push it. So basically what you do is you run a Docker build here, and then after it's built, tag it, and then push that up to the repository. This way, and all it's really doing is running the same thing as the deploy.aws. It just for some reason it works locally, doesn't work in Travis the first time. After that, it will work in Travis. And that will then create that first image, and then you'll be able to see it deployed here. So now that we have the image deployed and Travis is working, we need to then go into our Helm charts, which if you remember, we are here. We need to go back up out of our service to the ops directory and into Helm charts. And we will open that up and add them now. And you'll see the Helm charts that are built for this service. And basically all we need to do is copy one of these charts, probably usually the buildly core, and then just rename it. The only thing that you'll need to change is the naming. Like usually you just want to rename it to your existing core, your existing service name. Add the IP address because host name. Usually we would have an internal IP address that we would add for this, but through AWS and Dev we expose everything publicly, so we create a service URL for it. So here we'll have the assert that will get generated for this, as well as, which it's still available for that. And then we have the name and the URLs that will change. And then under here we'll see the values, and we'll change those values to match our new service, and then configure those to be. So essentially what you'll do is just go through and find and replace buildly core with the name of your service. The documentation URL and the configuration map won't matter, so you'll have a few different things that you'll need to change out of here to remove to match your configuration that's in your service. So and it's an example on our Docker Compose. Here we have a very basic configuration that we just need to then map to here. And same thing with the database. We'll want to create a new database and a new database user, and you just need to encode these and then pass them through that way. And you can encode them in the command line, just what your database user and password is. And then the last piece is then just to deploy that. So we'll go back through and create this for the UI, and then, or sorry, not for the UI, for the micro URL, and then we'll deploy it. Our image deployed. We've modified our Helm chart. You can see here we've created a copy of the buildly core, renamed it to short URL chart, just did a quick find and replace. Buildly core. There might be a couple little things that we have to tweak there, but I'm not sure yet. So we'll just check first. So first we'll do a Helm ls, and without the namespace we won't see anything. But now if we add the namespace buildly, we'll see our buildly core, conference UI, and our JNS gateway chart that have all been deployed. And then now we just need to run a Helm install of the new chart, which is a short URL service. I'm going to call it just short URL and the short URL chart. And again, namespace buildly. And that should then check the syntax and run it. If it fails, we can double check it, but I think that should just deploy it. There we go. And then we'll do a Helm ls. Again, without the namespace. We'll add it with the namespace this time. And there it is, short URL. And we can check that. kubectl get pods dash namespace buildly in the status, and it's up and running. Ta-da! So now we have a service. Well, we do have two. I don't know that we need two for that. It's one of the problems with copying the building core is it adds in the configuration here the replica count of 2. We actually probably only need 1, and we would just, for most of these services, we'll run just 1. But it doesn't hurt to have 2, because then it load balances between the 2 and it can scale. Just costs a little more money. Anyway, so that's that part of the process. So now we've deployed it. We can also check on the ingress and whether or not it's been configured. And the easiest way to do that is to go back to Amazon and look through our services and look for EC2, which I don't know why it's not in our recent. Oh, we're in Oregon though. We do want to switch to US East 2. That's where our current application that we're working with, and you can see we've got now 4 load balancers, which means we should have short URL. And if we look at the short URL, it's been configured with listeners for port 80 and port 443. It has the certificate running for that as well. And we can look at the DNS name. There it is. And we'll go back over to here and we'll add a, I don't know, what did we call this, short? We'll add a DNS entry for mm-dev-short into DNS in our buildly.io. And ideally, in a demo version or production version, these would all have internal URLs, not exposed URLs. But for dev, we do this so that we can access the API endpoints directly and test them. So here we have mmdev Janice. Again, there's no entry yet for here, so we will create a record. Oh, this stupid new Route 53. Okay, I think we're just doing simple routing. Oh, this is all new and it's awful. Okay, so mmdev short, and we choose an endpoint, which will be this one, and define our simple, IP address or other value. Yeah, okay, there. This was so stupid. Okay. It's not invalid. Okay, order of the record, I guess, does not mean that. So we'll edit this. What do we actually want? To a record in this hosted zone. I don't even know what that means. Alias to an application. Okay, that must be it. Oh, good Lord. US East 2. Choose a load balancer. I guess that's a little easier. But man, pasting in the URL was a heck of a lot easier. Okay. Now we'll try it again. And that worked. So they took a simple process and made it more complex. But whatever. Okay, so that works. we can now hopefully go to our, sometimes it takes a little while, but let's just see. If we're in the East Coast and this is there, it should show up pretty quickly. Yeah, close enough. Okay, and there we are. So it's exposed. Now if we go there, it should show up pretty quickly. Yeah, close enough. Okay, and there we are. So it's exposed. Now if we go to the